Technology for Seniors podcast on YouTube. Hey everyone, you are about to listen to a podcast or view a podcast that was already aired on my podcast that is on all streaming platforms that's entitled Research Shows Podcast. So this one right here is exclusively for my YouTube channel. I am Dawn M. Williams. So please stay tuned and listen.
And hello. This is your girl, Dawn M. Williams, and you are listening to Research Shows Podcast. And today, this is Technology for Seniors, where we give advice to our seniors, their family members, friends, and loved ones so that we can promote independence within the elderly community. Today, this is the very first episode of Technology for Seniors where I got a guest for Technology for Seniors. So I am excited. And her name is Delanda McNair. She is a caregiver for I think both your parents, right? Or just your mom?
Just my mom.
Yeah, just your mom. And then she is also a writer and a published author. So how are you doing today?
I am doing awesome, Dawn. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So we had a rough start this morning, and I believe believe me, I am not understanding. My tolerance level is at 0, but because she is a caregiver, and I have been there, I said, let me go back and try to figure out why is this lady not responding. So it was, we had a mishap with the email jumping off, but I'm so glad you are here today.
Well, Dawn, wait a minute. Well, to hear that you're dealing with a little patience thingy going on there. Well, thank you. Because I'm telling you, I be telling people sometimes, look, I guess it's that caregiver brain kicking in. Because wait a minute, you said what? And I'm like, well, what did I say? And they were like, you didn't say anything. Well, I'm like, listen, y'all, if I don't say anything, I didn't hear you, or I didn't get that you was talking to me. So please don't be trying to hold me accountable for something that I didn't even respond to. So look, there you go. Like, I didn't even respond.
Right, exactly. But I get it. I totally empathize. I've been there. So oh my God. So we're gonna get right into this. I want you to tell everybody about the emotional transition you went through being an adult child, from being an adult child of an independent parent into being a full-time caregiver of this parent. Tell people that emotional transition, because people don't know about this.
Oh my word, Dawn, who are you telling? Like, oh my God. Okay, so, okay, let me start by saying this. Okay, so my parents, they had 5 children. I was the 4th born of 5, and I was the one who never got married, never been pregnant. So I don't know what it's like to think of someone first outside of myself. You know what I'm saying? So I got to be honest, I was selfish. Like, and I knew it, but it's not like I was flexible, but it was like, well, no, I don't want to, it's about me, how I want to do it, when I want to do it, if I want to do it. So fast forward in 2012, my mother comes for a week and a weekend visit. And what I mean by that is my sister and I, my younger sister and I, we live 15 minutes apart. So of course she has children, and grandchildren. So my mom goes over there for the week and comes over here to me for the weekend. It was the last weekend of April. And make a long story short, my mother had started having stroke-like symptoms that Friday. But the thing is, I have an older sister in Kansas. So between the 3 conversations between my younger sister, my older sister, and me right here in the house with me, my mother was on the phone back and forth, and then firsthand with me having different conversations. Now, girl, I don't hear all of this until well after the fact. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I now know that my mother had been going through stroke-like symptoms the whole weekend. It started that Friday morning. So fast forward. My mother and I had gone throughout the whole day Saturday. I had a lot going on that Saturday because, when you work all week, Saturdays, you got to pile in everything. Like, go here, and my mother was on my heels. And at that time, she was 71, about to be 71. Yeah, she was turning 71 in November. So, and this was April. And later on that night, we finally made it home. It was about 11 o'clock. And because we were in and out all day. And she was writing something. I saw her drag her arm. Yeah. And I was like, wait a minute, Mama, did you just drag your arm? Then she tells me, well, yes, I don't know what it is. It just feels funny. And I've been feeling funny in my arm all day. And I said, well, do you want to go to the emergency room? Then she was like, well, I said, well, here's the thing. I can't make you do anything. However, if it was me, I would at least want to go and get a medical opinion to see what they say, to see what they see is going on with me. So she thought about it and she's like, yeah, let's go. So I take her to the emergency room. I literally drop her off at the door. I go find a part. She walks herself in. She checks herself in. I come in and sit next to her. When they rolled her back, you know, that little first station where they check your vitals and your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Her blood pressure was extremely high. Okay. So they
Oh
manipulate her.
gosh.
Yes, they manipulate her blood pressure. They go on to manipulate her blood pressure from, you know, that little hold in place there, and then you finally go to a bed. They still manipulate her blood pressure. Then we go upstairs. They still make a long story short, girl. My mother walked herself in there, and by the time we came back that Monday, that was like right at first thing Sunday morning. It was like midnight. When I came back Monday morning, after they finally got her in the ICU and all this stuff, my mother was pretty much in it, looking like she was in a vegetate. I can't
Oh
get the
my.
word out, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
A vegetative state. So wait a
Yes.
minute. Wait a minute. So like, do you think that it was just the experience of, you know, what it is to go in the hospital that made her deteriorate that fast, or that she was already going to do that because she was already experiencing a stroke?
You know what? Here's the thing. It may be a combination of the latter part that you said and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they were too busy doing too
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's crazy, because after the fact, you know, you see medical practitioner. Well, you don't think about that when you schedule your doctor's appointment. That, wait a minute, they practicing on us, on us. None of us think about that.
I
And
like that you said that practitioner, right?
yeah, and they openly tell you this, and it's in writing. We don't
You
think
know, I
about.
never thought of, thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I never thought about that.
Don't.
Just the language, I know. I look, it's eye opening, right?
Honey, so the fact is they manipulated my, okay, this is my opinion, okay? I'm
Okay,
not a
okay.
medical, let me make sure I put that out there. I'm not a doctor. However, you know, your body knows how itself better than anyone outside of itself. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm,
saying?
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
so, yes, it was not a good thing that my mother's blood pressure was extremely high. However,
mm-hmm,
that was her body talking to her and telling her something.
mm-hmm,
And the fact that her blood pressure was drastically multiple times manipulated from the time she walked in and at the time she finally made it to ICU, it
mm-hmm,
slowed down the flow of her blood in her
mm-hmm,
body.
mm-hmm.
And it was an issue for her body because I didn't know. And again, I'm the one with her checking her in with her when she checked in the emergency room. I didn't know my mom had a blockage going on in the main artery that shoots the blood
Oh,
up to your brain.
oh my
And that's
gosh.
why it was working in her favor, that her body was slowly conducting itself to do what it needed to do, because her brain was continually getting the blood that she needed while her body went in and did what it needed to do. So am I saying she did not need medical attention at all? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I feel, again, this is me, I'm not a medical professional. I feel her blood pressure was manipulated extremely too much, because it was working in her favor to get the brain the blood it needed to operate completely. So over the
Right.
course of that night, when my mother went to bed, I don't know how many times, or if there were times, I'm thinking it was, but I don't know, that they went, well, you know, her blood pressure is still too high. So it opened her up to many strokes. And
Oh,
she
ooh.
went through the process of having many strokes all night, throughout the night, up
Oh
until that
God.
Monday morning. So I left a woman who was talking to me like, baby, I'll be okay. I'll see you in the morning. So a woman that when I went there that Monday, she looking at me. And Grant, I'm not saying my mother looked at me this way, but it felt like, girl, the way it was piercing my heart was like, you left me here. And
Yeah,
this is what
absolutely.
happened.
100%. It's like, and that's, oh my God.
So, girl,
Oh my God, girl, you just is piercing my heart.
okay, Donnie, this is me looking at my mama, because before I thought about that whole practitioner thing, I'm trusting y'all. Y'all went and y'all studied this, and
Yeah,
y'all know that
absolutely.
there's no continual case. Every case is different.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, like, yeah. So as it relates to the emotion, Don, whoa, me being the selfish one for one.
Uh-huh.
And then, like you stated, I'm looking at, like, my father died in 1996, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when my father died, and um, we grew up in like a rural area, country area. So, you know what I'm saying? We had, my parents had a house with land. So there are things that need to be done. The grass needed to be maintained. There are certain items around the house that need to be maintained. My mom, God blessed her, and she was able to stand up and check in like, okay, Buddy, and they call my dad Buddy. She was like, well, Buddy will always do this. So let me go out here. And she was learning, girl, God showed her how to do stuff. And
Right.
so I'm looking at this little, and she was like 5'1", okay, or 5 feet, little petite thing. And
Mm-hmm.
but she just standing up and handling life. And now I'm looking at her, and her movement solely depends on someone else.
And that's emotional for you.
Girl.
Absolutely. So before we get into the, because I had something to say, I'm gonna take my first commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right.
And then there's a party going on that you're playing through your home. I'm at my home or wherever, and you're at your home or wherever, but you're getting the same experience like you're in a club.
As a host, doing that virtually does work. Like you said, you can do it on platforms like this, Google Meets, and Zoom. I hosted a traveling event virtually. It was hundreds of women on Zoom, and I hosted it, and I'm highlighting other people, the other guests and stuff. I anchor another event for all women's entrepreneurs on Zoom. It was so much you can do virtually. So, this is the one and only T Quest with DJ El Nino. We were just on the research show.
Entrepreneur Thursdays with Research Show's podcast.
All right, so we back. So I just wanted to say, you pierced my whole soul, like everything you just said, and that's a lot of our stories. That if we are caregivers or were caregivers, because my dad, he had refused to go to the hospital. You know how men are, and he refused. And the only way I was able to get him to the hospital that last time, which we didn't have a choice, was because he had deteriorated so bad. He wasn't eating nothing. And he had stressed himself out to that level. Okay. And so, of course, going into a hospital setting, to me, it creates anxiety. It's like going to court. Like the buildings, the halls are cold. It's not warm and welcoming. So, of course, it's going to create, it's going to make your body fluctuate and go through stuff. And his family basically came down, did an intervention to get him to even go in the hospital. And he didn't come out. And he told me before he went in the hospital, he said, I don't want to go in the hospital because I'm not going to come out. And that's what happened. And yes, so it was like, but just leading up to the hospital, he was like, it was almost killing himself on the way to the hospital anyway, because it's months. He's not eating. He refuses to take natural remedies. I do a lot of natural stuff like black seed. Just telling you that. Just look up black seed in regards to your mom. And I don't know if she's still dealing with high blood pressure, but black seed is like a natural remedy for it's a food. It's a seasoning.
Girl, we have it on deck, honey. You trust. I've been doing my research too, because after that practitioner didn't pay enough attention to my mama. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. So did she improve at all? Like, did she stay in that state that you were saying that she was in?
Dawn.
Oh.
Here's the thing. To answer your question, yes. However, my mother was up and walking, girl. She came home with me June of 2012. So she was up and walking on a quad cane, and she was learning to trust her, because it affected her right side. She was learning to trust her right side enough to, and I hate to say it like this, but I'm just saying it like, these are just connecting words that help paint a picture for your listeners. She was learning to use her right leg pretty much as a kickstand when she would walk, because her right leg really was not mobile like the left leg was. Girl, so we, we looking at my younger sister now, we learning stuff, we researching stuff. What we did is we got creative with making smoothies, or we would call it a bisque. So basically whatever we ate, again, we ate with purpose. We would blender her stuff and puree it. So she was still eating, and she was getting her fiber, because for whatever reason, the stroke would make her, or with my mom, there was a sensation where she would chew the food when she was still taking, when we first came home and we was feeding her full, what you call it, full food, raw food, however you want to call it. The fiber of it, she would chew all the juice out of it, but her tongue would push the fiber portion of it to the front of her mouth. So she would have all these wads of food in her mouth. We were like, Mom, what's that in your mouth? So that's what made us puree her food. So yeah, she's on point with her meals and stuff. But what happened, girl, she went away with a family member and to a graduation. And now at that time I was still working. So my younger sister, I mean, wow, she's so awesome. She was homeschooling her daughter at the time, her younger daughter at the time. So she would pack up her daughter and come homeschool from my house to be here with my mom while I went to work. That was our system. And when it came time for her to go on vacation, we had a family member that, hey, I still need to go to work. You know what I'm saying? So they decided to be here during the week. Well, they asked, could my mom go with them because they want to go to a graduation? My sister told them no. Now, I don't know anything about this conversation. Girl, they make a long story short, I come home, my mother's not here. I didn't know she was not supposed to be here, Dawn. So my sister checks in, is like, hey, just kind of let you know we made it to XYZ. She was like, hi, Mama Joe, how's your day? I said, well, I don't know. I said, Mama is not here. And then, girl, it all comes out. Make a long story short, that graduation was outside. It was too hot for my mother. When they brought my mother back, she was extremely dehydrated. So fast forward, that's not a real medical issue. So after 3 days at the hospital, they say, listen, we're going to send her over to this rehab. Girl, first of all, we didn't know we could have just brought my mother home. We didn't know that.
You can. You just got to sign something to say if something happened to her, it's your fault.
It's our fault. Girl, they didn't tell. They said what we're going to do because this is not a medical situation. We're just going to send her over across the street to what it was supposed to be a rehab. No, it was a nursing home that they were restructuring, and they had a wing that they were setting up for rehab, and then they had a full-blown nursing home. Girl, they dropped my mama while she was in there, did not report it. They kept coming to get her every day for therapy. So what started off as a hairline hip fracture turned into a straight up hip break, and her bone separated and came and fused up on her hip. So no, since 2013, June of 2013, about a year later, my mom has not walked since. So I get to be her legs going back and forth to the bathroom.
Honey.
I get to be her legs getting her in and out of the bed. And it totally did a number on her.
Now, I want to say this too for our listeners who are not understanding what you just said, because that can be confusing. When I said that, when she said she didn't know if she was that she was able to just take her straight from the hospital, and this is what happens, because I'm gonna tell you what happened, because that's what happened with my dad. It was a hijacking. It was like a hijacking. I want you to understand this. Like, it is not pretty if you're going to take that route of saying, I don't care what y'all say, I'm taking him out. Because this is how it went. We're in the hospital. So actually, this is during the time of my parents. They went through a separation. This is how serious this was. Okay. So we're in the hospital. So the hospital staff don't know who to listen to, my mom or me. My mom or me. So they're confused because they're looking at my dad like he's incompetent, because yes, you are deemed as incompetent because you can't take care of yourself. Right. So, because if you could, you wouldn't be sitting here sick and in the hospital asking for help. That's how they look at you. And so he was saying, look, I'm not going to the rehab. I'm leaving right here. And also I used to work in a rehab. So it is combined. It's combined. One section is the rehab and the other section is nursing home. And sad to say, the goal is that, eventually you'll end up in a nursing home because that's more money for them from the state. So, a lot of people don't end up leaving. So I'm going to try to shorten this as much as possible. So by the time the doctor came in the room, they're all trying to say, you cannot leave with your father. And my father's snapping, right? He's just like, nah, y'all going to let me loose because I'm going to get my lawyer. You're going to let me, they're going off. And you know what they said it comes down to, this is when I saw his mind, it broke. Because they said, sir, and I already told him this because I seen it. They said, sir, the only way we can release you is if it's somebody who's going to say, I'm signing over and saying I'm going to take 100% care of you. And he was just, can you imagine what that does to an adult who's been taking care of themselves their whole life? And they're saying that you can't be released unless, so me, because I'm self-employed, I was able to say, I'll do it. And that's how, it was a horrible scene. It was not easy. It was not like, oh, we understand. them doctors was turning bright red in the face. They was upset. You know, you literally have to do like a hijacking if you're going to do it. Yeah. So I feel you.
Girl, we didn't know, and then it came out after the fact. A therapist that, like my sister, when my mother finally came home, of course not walking this time, and that my sister was doing in-home therapy, and it just came out in conversation. And what's so crazy about it, girl?
Catch the continuation of this episode next Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern.
And this is...
I'm recording this.
I don't have my glasses on. Girl.
Is that a strawberry in it?
Let me see.
No, it's peony. What flavor is ecstasy? I don't have my papers on, girl. I got what Professor Baco.
Geranium and peony.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Go, don't stop. We against the clock. Go.
Hey, everybody. I'm Lolita Clark, realtor consultant with Exit Landmark Realty. And you know how it is. You gotta have a hustle to go with your side hustle. I'm here at my girl shop, Don Michelle Salon here in Phoenix Salon, here in PG Plaza. And it's time to restock the jewelry shop. So here we go. I'm going to restock here. But you know how you gotta have a hustle to go with the hustle? Let me slide on over here and show you the new hustle. The new hustle is Lowly Candles. I sell scented candles. They're handmade, and I make them with coconut and soy wax. And I have a lot of creative scents. So check us out. You can check me out on Facebook, but this for Lolita, Instagram, and TikTok, go to Lolo C. Check me out.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, to my seniors and family members of seniors, don't forget that you can listen to more episodes by tuning into this particular playlist, and I'll leave the link right here. Secondly, you can also get any of our books that are available on Amazon. I'll leave the link right here for that as well. And we have events, we have an app, we have a lot of things going on to assist our seniors with technology. We will see you next week. We plan on airing these episodes once weekly on Fridays at 12 noon. Please don't forget to click the link to like and also share this episode with a loved one. So have a wonderful day on purpose.